Alright guys, welcome to a new series of videos. This is going to help me chronicle getting through my backlog of PSVR2 games. Bought quite a lot and then just sort of left them on the back burner as I sort of kept playing my usual sort of cycle of games. But I'm making some good progress and I've actually finished 3 games in the last couple of weeks. So it feels unusual for me. I've got a habit of sort of just dipping in and playing a little bit and then not actually finishing and following all the way through. But here are 3 games, and as the title suggests, they are Venn, a VR adventure, HappyFunLand, and Genotype. So I'll start with one that I've literally just finished today, and that was Venn, a VR adventure. It's a pretty generic platformer. You know, it's fine, it's functional, it does what it says on the tin, but it really is the definition of just average. You know, starts off very easy. It gets a little bit more tricky towards the end with some more sort of precision jumping, precision timing, that kind of thing, but it's never really that challenging. And you get an absolute shed load of lives, so you're never going to run out of extra tries. It's very slow paced, your character moves around quite slowly and hasn't really got any, you know, there's no upgrades. It's just very generic jump and bounce kind of thing. Every now and again you have some first person interaction. So sort of like one of the reasons people loved Astrobot is it mixed this gameplay of controlling a third person character with occasionally or fairly often being involved in first person and using sort of different interactions with the environment. This game does do that as well to some degree. Not as fun or interesting in the ways that Astrobot does it, but there's some of that there, but it's very limited. Usually, I think it might always actually be restricted to just bosses. So when you come up against a boss, you'll have to do something first person as well as controlling your character. But it looks fine in the headset, nice and clear. Nice clear graphics, smooth frame rates, nice colours. You know, the reds really pop, but that's really down to the PSVR2, I think, as a headset. It looks fine, but it's just very, very average. I wouldn't recommend this at full price. Even if you're a die-hard platform fan, I'd say it's one to wait for a sale. You know, you might get some enjoyment out of it. It's can be relaxing in that sense. If you just love a relaxing sort of mindless journey through a platformer, you might get something out of it. But it is just really generic and not, you know, it's yeah. That's Venn, a VR adventure. Out of 3 thumbs, I'd give it 1, really. Yeah, I could get 0. Okay, 0 is the lowest. 0, 1, 2, and 3 in this new scale I've just made up for some reason. Yeah. Okay, so the next game that I finished recently was HappyFunLand, and I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. This is a sort of spooky adventure through a sort of a dilapidated sort of theme park, but everything's really dark, everything's really sinister, and it's obviously styled after Walt Disney. I think the main character, the main baddie in the game is it Malt Grizzly, something like that. But it's an obvious commentary on, it's an obvious sort of dark portrayal of an alternative sort of Disneyland area. And it's nice, it's very atmospheric. Like I said, I do love that spooky atmosphere in a game. And occasionally it did make me yelp or shout, squeal, scream, verbally react, basically. There were some moments where I was surprised by things that were occurring, jump scares. The enemies that come at you can be quite, can give you a scare when the enemies come at you. Although the enemies, it's not the greatest combat, it's very waggle, and you have to, apparently this has been patched as well. This game got several patches after launch, and apparently it's in a much better state now than it was when it first came out. People said it was quite blurry back then, some other gameplay issues. It's still not jank free, Like I said, the enemies, you basically just waggle whatever weapon you've got in your hand through them for several seconds, quite a long time actually. It takes quite a while, and then they'll die eventually. So it's not challenging. The enemies aren't a challenge. They're just, you know, it's this waggle. There's no real combat. It's very basic, and they just take a long time. It kind of cheapens the experience a little bit. So unfortunately, you know, the combat is not a standout feature of the game. But if you can sort of take that and just acknowledge, well, that's how this game's focus. The game's focus is really other things. So it's got a sort of mini golf course running through the world, and once you sink the ball, it'll open up a new path or something else will happen in the environment to help you progress, allow you to progress, and you make your way through this theme park, and you actually go on a lot of the rides, and they're cute, you know, there's sort of this spooky atmosphere, dark, sort of weird lyrics to the songs that these characters will sing, and it's all very sort of yeah, dark, which is a word I've used several times while talking about it. It's all right, you know, it's atmospheric. You take it as an experience to move through this spooky land and sort of appreciate all of the artistry and the commentary and the way they try to make it feel atmospheric. But yeah, the gameplay is not fantastic. What else to say about HappyFunLand? It's all right. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got it on sale. I'll say that. I will give this game 2 thumbs out of 3, because everyone's got 3 thumbs to make a rating scale out of, so that makes total sense. Yeah, that's HappyFunLand. The last one that I finished was actually the first one that I finished out of these 3 chronologically, and that is Genotype. And Genotype is definitely the one that I enjoyed the most. It's definitely the best game. It's got the most solid sort of gameplay elements to it. The combat is fun. You have a lot of upgrades that you can make, a lot of different weapons that you can find and collect and use, and you have real freedom. You know, it's not limited. You can use any of these different upgrades you get at any time, sort of thing. And well, what I'm trying to say is you can tailor the combat to how you prefer to play, the type of weapon you prefer, and you can focus on particular weapons to upgrade them as well and give them extra abilities, upgrade skills that you've got, lots of other things. So the inventory management and the upgrade skill trees and stuff, or rather the collecting, you do a lot of collecting and upgrading, is quite addictive, that pattern of gameplay of finding and then spending your wares to upgrade. Really nice in the headset, really smooth frame rate. It's I believe it's 120 native, I believe it's 120 hertz native, but you can really tell, like, it's a high frame rate, smooth frame rate, and it's got a good resolution too. It does make a huge difference in a game. It just feels so much nicer to be in a world where you have that smoothness, high frame rate, high resolution. So yeah, it runs beautiful, gameplay is fantastic. Couple things with it that, you know, it didn't spoil the experience for me, but it's stuff to mention. I did feel like I sort of got lost a couple of times. I didn't really know what I was supposed to do next. That was probably my fault, but it is something that occurred, and I did have to look up a couple of times what to do next. So I had to, yeah, use some walkthroughs. You're going through this abandoned sort of space station, and it all looks quite similar. All the corridors, they're all pretty similar. So it can get a little bit samey in the way that it looks as you're moving around. But there are some interesting diversions that I won't spoil. Some interesting different ways of getting around or navigating the levels. But yeah, and you know, there's quite a good puzzle element to it as well. So quite often you'll have to you know, find switches or you know, connect things to open up new passages. So there's a good mix of sort of brain work, figuring out puzzles and navigating. Because I did say I got lost a couple of times, or rather, didn't know what to do next a couple of times. But you do have a very good map system and teleport system that you can use to cut down the amount of sort of repetition of, you know, going through places. So you are given the tools you need. It's just on occasion I was like, what am I supposed to do next? But really cool game. How long did I get out of that? I think I got about 8 or 9 hours in the end out of that. Certainly at least 8 or 9 hours out of Genotype. And that's been one of my favourite games that I played this year. Yeah, HappyFunLand, probably about 5 hours, perhaps. And Venn, VR Adventure, I haven't even looked, probably about 6-7 hours. But out of those 3, I can give Genotype, yeah, I'm tempted to give it 3 of these 3 thumbs on this 3-thumb rating that for some reason I didn't plan to give games a rating in this video. But I'd say Genotype is my favourite out of those 3. I'd say it's worth its store listing price. So that is finally been clearing some games off the backlog. Delete them off the system. Nice. Achieving things in my gaming list of things to do. So I don't know what's next. Oh, okay. There's a couple games that I like to get to next. So hopefully I'll be back once again with the Renegade Master with another video like this, talking about games that I've finished. Finally. Yeah, alright guys. Bye.